Refugee Youth. Welcome to the Refugee Youth Summit 2024, hosted by the Asia Pacific Refugee Rights Network Youth Working Group. And it's sponsored by MAYAN, Multicultural Youth Advocacy Network. And this is in
I think she freeze, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there is technical problem from internet of Marufa, the MC. So let me take over. I would welcome everyone, and if you can hear clearly, so I would proceed with what Marufa was supposed to be saying. We are welcoming everyone to the Refugee Youth Summit 2024, which is organized by the Asia Pacific Refugee Rights Network Youth Working Group and is sponsored by MAYAN, Multicultural Youth Advocacy Network of Australia. We are very pleased to have you all here, and thank you so much for your time and dedication to attending the summit. Without further ado, we would go to the next slide, Ronan, and we would like to ask everyone for ice breaking to get to know you. If you would like to introduce yourself with 3 words, or your name, your country that you're joining from, and any organization or activism that you're involved in, please write in the chat so we can know you all. That would be great because the time is short and we cannot have everyone open mic and speak.
Yeah.
Let's use the chat.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali.
Marufa. Yeah.
I'm sorry for, I don't know what's the trouble. I made sure connection is good, but let's continue. Thank you for getting the stage. So all is fine for now, right? So please go ahead, everyone, in the chat box, write your name or wherever you're connecting with us so we get to know each other. And if you want to connect with other organizations in here, you can write down your emails and, you know, chat with each other for a minute or two, or yes, in the chat. We have chats from people. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and where are you connecting with us. Yay. Awesome. We have from Australia, Gopal. Awesome. Ooh. From Canada, we have from Malaysia. Oh, it's awesome. From New Zealand. We have so many people from all around the world. Amazing team and amazing opportunity to network. Awesome. We have from Jakarta as well. South Korea. Okay, nice to talk with everybody and get to No, everyone. Thanks for all this chat. Let's move on with today's agenda. So first and foremost, we have a keynote speech and also opening remarks from Rana Ibrahimi, Youth Working Group Chair herself, and from Daniel Gamboa, a Youth Working Group Deputy Chair. And it will be continued by, next slide, please. By speech from Hafsar Tamassudin, APRRN's Co-Secretary General, and Klaus Nielsen, APRRN Co-Secretary General. And then we will be having an amazing lineup of panelists who will share their stories. As you can see, the panelists and moderator in here. Madiha Ali is the moderator, and Yasaman, Alireza, Leon, and Nazanin will be the panelists. And next we have a very moving poem called Peace Not For Me by Khairullah. He is Educational Director of Rohingya Youth Initiative and Refugee Advocate. And then we have the most important part of the day, you all, focused discussions. So in breakout rooms, there will be 7 breakout rooms with the topics that you see in the screen. So whichever topic you are interested, you want to share information, or you want to hear from others, you just want to share something or speak up, just go ahead and join that specific breakout room. You will be having the options to join whichever breakout room you would like to have and to talk and to hear or to share insights. So first room will be education and skills development. Second, leadership, advocacy, and refugee youth empowerment. Third, mental health and well-being, access to help. Fourth, refugee pathways, alternative ways for resettlement, integration, and inclusion. Fifth will be understanding refugee rights and detention in Asia. Sixth will be promoting equity, inclusion, and cultural exchange. And seventh is combating discrimination, gender issues, and stereotypes. So whichever of these topics you are interested to exchange ideas and talk, and because today this is a great opportunity for everyone to talk and to speak up and to share information. And then we will have this discussion report with each facilitator from each group. We'll have 1 minute to report the main points discussed in the breakout room. And then we have closing remarks by Rana Ibrahimi herself and a photo session at the end to record our moment, our gathering today. So that's all for today's agenda. And I want to start by welcoming Rana Ibrahimi and Daniel Gamboa to please come to the stage and have the opening remarks and keynotes. Please welcome Rana and Daniel.
Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here and seeing our participants are joining. I'm Rana from Mayan, and I am really proud today because it's one of those moments that you're coming back to work after 1 month and you're seeing all of the young people who are members of Youth Working Group put together an amazing event. And this event is one of the examples of nothing for young people without young people, because young people did everything in this event. So I don't have that much of say to do. But this is something that we are working around for around 1 year, and our young members are were really keen to bring everybody together and have these conversations quite frank and open, and we are trying to be very honest with each other and share everything we can today, because it's one of those opportunities that we are going to share experience and know what's going on in the region. But also listening to amazing young people with lived experience. I don't have that much to say today, apart from enjoying the conversation, and please join in and have this open and frank dialogue with each other. And I'm going to give the floor to the virtual floor to Daniel, our amazing deputy chair. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Gamboa. I am the deputy chair of the Youth Working Group, and I'm so excited to welcome all of you. It's so good to see so many of you joining us today. As Rana said, this has been in preparation for a long time. We knew that we needed to come all together. We knew that we wanted to be young people, and young people are champions of change, and we all know that. Young people all across the Asia Pacific are leading amazing change. And we really wanted it to come together and really understand and map out what's going on across the region. It's so awesome to connect with all of you. So wonderful to see so many familiar faces and new faces. Today is all about you, and we really want to listen to you. So make sure you have a say. There's going to be themes, there's going to be conversations, and this is not the end. This is the beginning of our conversations. So I really want you to take away that we're here. The Youth Working Group is here for you, and we're working alongside you to empower you. And so let's keep working together. Let's keep these conversations. You have an amazing panel today of amazing youth leaders. Ask them questions, learn from how they do things, where they are at the moment, how they got there. And I hope you enjoy today's summit. And please keep in touch with us. We are an amazing network of opportunities. And so please do keep in touch. Follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. And we really look forward to a rich conversation today. So I hope you all enjoy today's summit.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Rana. Amazing to have the overall idea about how is this today's discussions is helpful, and also a great opportunity for everyone to share their thoughts and their to exchange thoughts and to exchange ideas that would help to protecting refugee rights. So please welcome Sir Klaus Nelson, and let's hear from Klaus Nelson. Sir, please come to the stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My name is Klaus, and I'm from APRRN. And as Rana and Daniel have said, it's really good to see so many people. We know from Ali and other members of our team that this has been in the making for a long time. So thank you so much. And also thank you to Mian and Rana for sponsoring this. I'm just going to talk for 2 minutes very shortly, and then hand over to my partner, Hafsa, who will also speak for 2 minutes. Ali asked me just to say a few words about APRRN, because some of you may not know what the Asia Pacific Refugee Rights Network is. So we were born in 2016. Sorry, that's wrong. 2008. We are 16 years old. I just realized that. And we are a network of around 280 organizations and individual members in 28 countries in Asia and the Pacific, ranging from Afghanistan to Papua New Guinea, who work together to protect and promote the human rights for refugees and other peoples on the move, and ensuring that the people have access to education, health, and so forth. What we do mainly is advocacy, and protecting and promoting the human rights of refugees and other young people on the move in vulnerable situations is a key priority for APRRN, by the mere fact that we have the youth working group, which is part of our governance structure, and led by Rana and Daniel, and many of you are a member of that. So this working with and for and on behalf of youth remains a priority for us. As you all know, young refugees face a plethora of issues in this region. I don't want to go into that because you know that more than us, but for example, one of our priorities in our new 2023 to 2027 strategy is access to education and the right to livelihood, so that people can reach their full potential. And that, of course, applies a lot to young people. And the last thing I want to say, and it was also alluded to by Daniel and Rana, is that APRRN's approach to identifying and advocating for solution is to widen and diversify the space of actors in a very rapidly shrinking civil society space in our region. We're trying to sort of keep it open and widen it, and bring in different actors, including youth, who can contribute actively to solutions from the start to the end, not just a tokenistic approach where some people will be drawn in for like 5 minutes and out. We are serious about this. We want people, including you, to be part of the solution from beginning to scratch, and really advocate with those people who can and make decisions. So policy and decision makers in states, in countries, UN systems, and so forth, to change policies, practices, but also attitudes and behaviors. This is really important. I'm sure you're going to talk about this later. So I think I'll stop here. Thank you so much, and I'll hand over to Hafsa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Youth Summit. And I just have to say my special thanks to the chair and the deputy chair of the Youth Working Group, and Ali from the Secretariat. Yeah, before I say anything, I just have to tell you that the power, I'm always a little bit of emotional during the week of this World Refugee Day. I have a lot of thoughts run through in my mind, and the power, the resilience, the passion of the people like you guys, youth and other impacted people, has never ceased to amaze me. This event is one of that. You are not taking no as an answer. Bringing people together like this from many different countries across the region. If we cannot bring people together in person because of your legal requirement, constraint on financial security reason, we make it happen in another way, just like that. I just want to congratulate all of you for that reason. And I have so much faith in you guys, the Generation Z, Gen Z. This is your time. And I want to invite you, if you are not already a member of APRRN, to become a member of APRRN, not because we want to demand anything from you. We want you to own this space. Own it, lead it, drive the future of APRRN with us. I don't want to preach anything, because I know you are so capable, beyond capable. It's just the aspired youth like me, older folk, we just have to lean back and then create the space for you. It has been my obsession and our obsession of APRRN, creating the space for you guys, youth and other diverse group. So it is really, really cool to see you guys coming together. And please always look into this kind of innovative means of reconnecting, sharing, learning, the peer space from all of us. Because look around the world now, everything is very overwhelming. The growing number of displacement in different countries, Asia, Pacific, and beyond, is everywhere we look at it, so overwhelming. Sometimes we feel like, oh my God, it's never going to be over. But we need a little bit of glimmers of hope like this, knowing that you are not alone. There is another youth in somewhere, another corner of Asia Pacific like me, so much passion driven in their blood and in their mind and head. They want to do something about it. And knowing that and being connected with these people and learning and sharing and driving the future of this sector and making it into reality and making this positive change, it is so important. I'm just so happy to see this is coming into fruition. Thank you guys so much. Please stay in touch. This is not a one-off thing, and we are very accessible. Klaus and my email, just get it from Ali, and let us know what else we can do together. And then I wish you all a great session. But I have to apologize that I cannot stay long. It's a bit late here in New Zealand, to the further end of the world, and I have some family commitment. And congratulations, you guys, the Generation Z. This is your time. Yes, take it.
Thank you. Thank you, Hafsa, and thank you, Sir Klaus, both APRRN Co-Secretary General. It was awesome and wonderful to have insights about how APRRN is connected to 280 organization throughout the world, and how it's trying to create this network of refugees and help refugee education, and also talk and to policymakers. And this is all awesome. And I deeply thank Sir Klaus for this insights and for this information and for this efforts putting towards this issue, global issue. Stage and work to, you know, to do better and make the world a better place. We can do it. Okay, so this is all.
Is that a cutoff so I can jump in again? No worries. I hope we have a problem of connection for our MC, but it's okay. I can help with continuing. So not to miss so much of our time, we will go right into the panel, our youth discussion panel that's going to be moderated by Madiha Ali. The floor is yours, Madiha.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor to be in this space where we're discussing something really close to my heart, and that is refugee youth. It's an unfortunate reality that youth are generally considered too naive and not clever enough to be part of important decisions. When it comes to refugee youth, there's an added layer of vulnerability and exclusion. It is so hard and so challenging as refugee youth to ask for a seat at the table, to be considered as equals, and to be part of decisions that impact our lives significantly. And oftentimes, even when refugee youth are included or are given a seat at the table, it's merely as tokens, as Klaus, I think, mentioned earlier. It is simply to tick a box and say, we included refugee youth in decision-making. But it's not meaningful. It's very tokenistic, and but that's an unfortunate reality that we have to tackle with. However, as refugees, we are used to challenging the status quo, and that's what we're doing today, challenging the status quo, this narrative that we as refugee youths can't be equals. And so our panel today, it shows how incredible refugee youth are. And so without further ado, it is a privilege to be introducing our amazing panelists who have incredible stories of resilience. Today, we'll hear from them about how through their resilience, they have not only changed their own lives, but also the lives of people around them and other refugee youth. So on our panel, we have the amazing Yasaman, who's joining us from New Zealand. We have Nazanin joining us from my neighboring Australia. We have Alireza from Indonesia and Dimdim Lian from Japan. So we've got an amazing lineup of panels, and I'll pass it on to the panelists to introduce themselves before we dive deeper. So a quick brief introduction, please, before we dive deeper into the questions. So I'll pass it on to Yasaman, and then if you can popcorn, if you can pass it on to another person.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Yasaman. I'm joining you from Aotearoa, New Zealand. When I was 15, my family and I sought asylum to Australia and spent the next 6 years in offshore detention centers. And after that, we spent a few years in Australia living in the community, but with restrictions on freedoms, including no access to work or education. I was resettled to Aotearoa, New Zealand last year, and I'm studying currently to be a lawyer, hopefully. Advocacy is very important to me. From when I was 15, I was lucky enough to speak English. So I always had to speak on behalf of my family and people in my community and around me. And I always had this role of being the spearhead. So I take joy in continuing to do that. Thank you. And I pass it on to Ali Reza.
Okay, hi everyone again. Thank you so much, Yassam, and thank you so much, Madiha. My name is Ali Reza Yawari. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I sought asylum in 2024 at a very young age to Indonesia, where I was detained for 5 years in detention center and then continuously being moved to different places by the system of detention and controlling people under the name of refugee protection, which is not suitable. I have been doing some activism and advocacy for youth and youth refugees throughout these years for my very bad lack of this seeking asylum lived experience with different and very tough situation. And it has always been a hope and testimony, a testament of how we can kind of look back at the experiences that we had, and we never want the same other young generation, next generation of refugees, of youth to experience those bad situations. And one of my main advocacy was on closing detentions for children and young people, and access to education, and many more for youth. So I think today is the best place for us, the youth, including me, to mention all those pains and to come together and put our words on the table on what we can contribute from our experiences to this refugee rights and protection. Thank you, and I'm passing it to Nazanin.
Thank you, Ali Reza. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Nazanin, and I'm originally from Afghanistan. I have experienced refugee life in Indonesia for over 6 years before relocating to Australia, so I'm quite new to Australia as well. During my time in Indonesia, I was dedicated to teaching English to the refugee children, teenagers, and adults of all ages within refugee-led organizations and local Indonesian schools as a mentor. And my commitment to education and education extended to volunteering in various refugee projects, which specifically supported women and youth in learning English and acquiring new skills. Why specifically English? Because I was fortunate enough to have English language as my first language, and I use this to help the children and teenagers to learn something so I can help them when they go to the next country. Being now in Australia, it's only been a couple of months for me, but I'm trying my best to work and still continue my advocacy for the refugees and for the youth refugees. Thank you very much, and I'll pass it on to Dimdim.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much. So I am a refugee from Myanmar, specifically Chin States, and I left my country at the age of 8, and I basically grew up as a refugee in Malaysia for more than a decade. And around a little over 6 years ago, I resettled in Japan, and I'm currently continuing my studies and kind of master students in my last year, and my research is mainly about comparative analysis on the political system in Southeast Asia. So I'm very like future looking person, so I want to kind of analysis the political systems and how I think it's important because especially I'm from Myanmar and we need youth to know about the political systems and how to tackle all these challenges and how to unify others. And that's why I believe that as a youth, you need to be knowing a lot of things and be passionate about a lot of things. And I'm also a member of Empathy, which stands for Empathetical Multicultural Pathway with Youth, which is a refugee-led organization, but it is also a collaborative efforts with the Japanese students and the Japanese youth and also refugee youth. And I'm so glad to be invited, because as you know, like Japan, the refugee presence is very minimum, and sometimes you feel alone in your fight. But I'm so glad to be invited here, to be sharing and listening to all your stories, and I look forward to today. Thank you so much, and I think
Yep, I'll take it from here.
all right, sorry. Thank you.
That's all good. Well, I was telling you that we have an amazing lineup of panelists, so I'm really excited to be diving deeper in some amazing conversations. Please feel free to put any questions in the chat if you might have while you're listening to our amazing panelists. And then we have some time later on to ask the questions to our panelists. All right, before further ado, I'll start with my first question, and my first question is to Yasemin. Could you share how your experiences of detention and being denied the right to study in Australia have shaped your advocacy work, and what changes you believe are necessary to support refugee youth in similar situations? So that's kind of a two-tone question, but feel free to answer it whatever way you like.
Yes, thank you. So because I didn't have access to education to finish high school for so long, I didn't end up finishing high school, and I was behind compared to my peers and people my age. And I think education is such a big aspect of constructing your identity as a young person, any young person. And then for a refugee youth, when that educational aspect is replaced by just this label of being a refugee, so somehow it's okay that you don't have the same access to everything because you're this group, it's replaced, and it somehow takes over the construction of someone's identity, as if it's just a normal, that this is supposed to be like that. So I think that young people are very resilient, despite despite what you mentioned, and I agree with how we, as refugee youth, we have tiers of oppression. It's not just our age, it's also our legal status. But despite all of that, people are wonderful and resilient, and they, for me and a lot of my friends and people in the same situation as me, we learned English completely as another language. We somehow caught up with education and made our makeshift alternative avenues to keep up with everybody else who had the access to the privileges that we didn't have. So I think what I'm trying to say, the biggest thing is that don't take no for an answer. Just because you are denied the formal rights, that's not the end. You should keep going and take what you want from this world. If you want to be educated, you can achieve it. It's okay that if it's not through formal schooling, it's not the end of the road. And to the second part of your question, what changes are necessary? I think organizations that have access to resources and funding, and not even just funding, but the manpower or the staffing, the people to deliver, maybe they can focus on more practical solutions in education. If we can have practical scholarships from reputable organizations and educational organizations, schools and universities, where they can deliver that education program to people who are the most marginalized. We have people joining us in the chat from some of the detention centers. Okay, how can we reach out to them? What can we do to make a difference for them? So I think we really need some of the bigger players who have the power to step up and really have outreach programs that is targeted towards some of the most vulnerable. Yes, thank you.
Wow, I think that was a call to action there. How can we make sure that we're reaching the most vulnerable people? Also, I wanted to ask you, why did you decide to join the New Zealand Refugee Youth Council?
So I've had a very long journey, and I feel embarrassed to say that because some of you are still in your journeys. But I've had a very long journey, and I think I have somehow reached almost the end of it. I want to pay back, and I want to help empower those who are still completing their journey. So for me, it comes down to advocacy, and there were times that I really needed someone else's help, and people were there for me, and that was crucial. It was life-changing, and I'm hoping that I can do that for others. So for me, it's about that collective empowering. It's about none of us are free until all of us are free. If there is one oppressed person, it's all of us who are oppressed. So it's about not leaving anyone behind.
Wow, that's very impressive. And you've got a really inspiring story of how you've not let the challenges that life threw your way change you and change your heart for advocacy and making this world a better place for people that are most vulnerable, but also not leaving anyone behind. I guess that's something that we all can take from your answer to that question. Passing it on, I'll pass it on to Nazanin. As someone who've extensively worked in teaching and mentoring refugee children and adults, what do you believe are the key factors in creating successful educational programs for refugees?
Thank you, Madiha. I think creating a successful educational program is challenging, especially in the refugee community, because of the lack of access to education and resources. So it obviously requires a holistic approach that takes into account their unique needs and challenges. There are many key factors, but if I would summarize that in 3 points, that would be language support, community engagement, advocacy, and policy support. Speaking of language support, as I mentioned in my introduction, I was fortunate enough to have English language as my first language. And coming to Australia, I realized that it's very important. Although back when I was in Indonesia, most people did not think it was very important, or they thought that because of the stress and the mental issues that they have and the challenges that they're facing, they shouldn't be studying or they're not able to study. But that's not it. The challenges also start when you go to the next country, and language plays a big role for your daily tasks. And community engagement, building a strong partnership with local communities, organizations, and resources that can provide resources for the refugees, and collaborating with community stakeholders to help identify the specific needs of refugees, which brings me to my main point that there are refugee-led organizations and international organizations that are having partnerships and collaborations. But the most important part of this is to actively engage young people in these organizations, because they bring a unique perspective and creativity to the table. And in this rapidly evolving world, youth are very aware and more aware of the global development and social trends and technological advancements. So involving the youth in the refugee-led organization and other organizations worldwide does not only help with the innovative ideas and the fresh thinking that they have, but also ensures that the organizations stay relevant and adaptive to the changing landscape, which continuously changes within time. And last but not least is the advocacy and policy support. We have so many people who are advocating, but how many of them are youth? You know, it's very important that the youth advocate for policies that support the educational needs, because it goes back to them. It's them who are studying, and the other children and the younger generation. This really includes the funding for language and mental health support, which creates a sustainable and effective educational program. So it's all of them connected together. Yeah, I hope that helps. Thank you.
Well, that was a very succinct and good answer, because you bullet pointed it for us. So if anyone was taking notes, you really clearly highlighted what the important factors are, which were language support, policies, and community engagement. Thank you so much for that answer. And as kind of a follow-up, now that you're in Australia, how do you plan to continue at your advocacy and support for refugees in transit countries?
As mentioned, I'm focusing on my studies as well, but I'm still committed in continuing to help and empower the refugees. Some ways that is going to be happening in the future is raising awareness, collaborating with organizations and educational initiatives, so that we can be able to develop educational materials and programs which is tailored specifically to the refugees in the transit country, and help them have their education aligned or equivalent to the education system in countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and USA, which they'll be resettling to next. So this is one of the plans that I have, hopefully with the collaboration of organizations and educational initiatives.
Wow. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I'm pretty sure that everyone is super appreciative of not only the work that you did when you were a refugee, but now that you've resettled, your continuous work and support for the refugee community. We need people like you, I guess. Our next panelist, Dim Dim Lian, your journey from Myanmar to Malaysia and finally to Japan through education is quite inspiring. Can you discuss how education has played a critical role in your resettlement and your advocacy efforts?
All right, thank you so much. So I resettled to Japan through third country resettlement. So, and then in Malaysia, I was kind of illegal, and my status as refugee does not give me the right to study, the right to education. So I was relying a lot on my community schools, community organizations, which I would have to applaud. They did a wonderful job. And I was learning like English to my best of ability. However, I came to Japan, which English is not the most useful language. So I had to relearn another language. So I also have to keep in mind that, there are refugees who are still learning another language, readapting, relearning, and sometimes feel not very hopeful. And I'm here to show you guys you're not alone. I'm here and we can get through this together. Learning language after your 20s is very hard. And on top of that, I also I would like to recommend a book called How I Learned Geography by Uri Shulevitz. And it is about a young boy who escaped to an unsafe country because his country was destroyed by war. And they had nothing but only a little money to buy bread. But his father bought him a map instead. So it's very important that children, we do need necessity to eat as a youth, but we also have to feed their curious mind, their hungry soul, right? You have to not only give them the necessities, you have to pull resources, because he become one of the greatest like children book illustrator-ish person, and he did amazing advocacy. So I want to and also one thing I want to also I am calling for action is that I am also volunteering as a English teacher, but it's not to the refugee students or children, youth, but it's normal kids, normal people. So as a refugee, I could not only benefit the refugee community, but as well as other communities. So I hope that in the next summit, we can call university students from anywhere we are, invite them. It's not just refugee youth, but it is also youth in the world. We need that because we cannot do it alone, and we need more people, more youth to join us. And I really, really want to see this in the next coming future. Thank you. So I think, how does education help me is this: it gives me thoughts, it gives me the ability to think, ability to come up with solutions or alternative, many solutions. So I think I don't exactly know how it helped me, but I can show you, I can talk about it, I can share my ideas. So thank you so much.
Wow, that was wonderful. I was taking notes, and I'm not sure if other people were, but you guys. I think you said something really important about how it's important that youth and children are not just that it's just not the necessities, but also that you're feeding their mind because they're really curious, and that's the age where they can develop the most. And then I love your call to action as well about how you're calling not just refugee youth, but other youth around the world to come to this summits like this, where we can share information so that they can get to know about our lives and what we have gone through and how we've risen through our challenges. And it's kind of an information sharing as well, and how we can learn from each other. So thank you for that. And then I was also wondering, through your work with empathy, how do you promote meaningful participation of refugees in official conferences and other important forums?
So thank you so much for the question. So I went to Geneva for the CRCP, which is consultation on resettlement and complementary pathway. As you guys have been aware of, it was a bit of a tokenist approach that you're just there to, but I also want to say that I have the power because I went there. I can share experience back to the organization in Japan and tell them what they could improve. So I do have that voice to kind of lecture them about what others are doing, what they could be doing better. I also showed through going there without any passport, just with travel document, and I let them know how difficult it is. So it's like I'm just risking it there, just being super nervous throughout the journey, like, am I gonna get stopped, am I gonna get this? But I did it so that next time when they're calling for representative, they will not go through what I go through. So I think this is meaningful participation. It's not just on the stage. I hope that in the future we will be on stage and doing all those cool stuff. But for now, I think we must take every opportunity, and we must improve. We must do it for our community, right? No one get left behind. Even though I'm already in third country, my mind is still about my refugee communities, and I want them out. So I want them to have a better life. I think this is what I think every youth feel, and this is what fuel us. This is what give us passion, right? Because we just don't want like anyone to be left behind. I think we have to keep doing these things. Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I hope you can read the comments. People are talking about how mind-blowing your story is. And thank you for sharing how important it is that we move past mere tokenistic approaches to actually meaningfully engaging refugees, but also refugee youth in important forums like CRCP. Thank you so much. And we've got last but absolutely not the least, we've got Ali. So as someone who has been a refugee in Indonesia for a decade, what do you think are the primary challenges you see in the refugee community there?
Well, thank you so much, Mariha. I'd like to go on this short, but this is very long, so we have to talk about this for many hours. Challenges for youth. What I can touch upon is the most important one, that the narrative of youth refugees is always being shared by those things that is already in the minds of those people who are making a decision for them. This starts from very simple things that is in the refugee protection system under any name that comes. And refugees are always put at the end of the list, the very list. Let's say if that is, for example, if not preferring to detain youth, they always depend on, oh, youth at this age are very resilient, or they are very strong in physics, they are mentally strong, and many other things. And all these things, because of this age, has become a negative point for us, but a positive reason for them to keep people in detention, to keep people on hold, to keep people on transit. Never consider them for resettlement or other opportunities, and always claiming that there are things that you can do, but there is never the right space for you to do that. Imagine if someone with interrupted education, someone being detained for many years, no access to technology, no access to the online world, no family contact, nothing. And they are still expecting you to do a lot of amazing things. Where is that space? And then when going to those let me be clear, to the UN agencies and all the civil society and organizations coming and claiming that, hey, youth, you have to be meaningfully participating. And this is, I'm touching upon what Leon said. She has brought very new first-hand news from Geneva. But look at this, you expect people for this meaningful refugee participation. At the very first, what we claim is it has to be meaningful refugee youth participation. We never have it. People going and doing and talking and discussing are not considering youth situation. And even if there are very few youth, just like Leon or anyone there, I'm sure they're always being overlooked, and they're not listened to, and they're not being taken into consideration. And how much we can be vocal when nobody is listening. This is huge, and this is the most and the biggest challenges we at all transit countries, at all refugee camps, at all those detentions, prisons that they made for refugees are experiencing from our early age, from our childhood. And it was not a regular migration. This was a forced migration. This was seeking safety to stay alive. And there is no control of if you want to be with your family, if you want to be in what place, if you want to do what. And this is all brought to youth. And then when youth come and sit together, just like today, we have thousands and millions of stories that we face with such difficulties, but we still could survive. And we could still make a space, just like today, to come together and talk together about, hey, this is the reality, not the narrative that you're making in your mind, and passing it to the world and passing it to people. And you're reasoning with those not realistic situation that you're making up for youth. And I think what I can say that the biggest word to your question, Madiha, is the biggest challenges that youth are being overlooked, though youth are the main drivers of change in their communities and the detention centers that they have been living. And they were the people who brought changes and resilience to the whole community, not themselves. And look at the system, they are always overlooking youth.
Wow, I think you raised quite a few important points there. I think talking about the perceived narrative of refugee youth and also how there are so many expectations of refugee youth to excel despite all the challenges that already exist. So thank you for that very elaborate answer. Could you possibly share a specific project or initiative that you've led that had a significant impact on the refugee community, and what kind of lessons have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, just as I said and mentioned, and it's not only me, but my story is very similar to many other youth who have done the same. Youth at the end of the day are thinking that, hey, there's no change after many years being in such a situation in such communities of refugees. And it has to be me at the end of the day to think about the change. We cannot see around ourselves because we have been in that situation. We were a very young age and there was no education. And we are thinking like, hey, other children younger than us are still not receiving education. Let's get together, pass to them what we have self-learned. All of the panelists here mentioned that they have self-learned English. They have self-learned a lot of things. They have done homeschooling while we had no home. And then with all those difficulties of no connection, no internet, no people, no mentor, nothing, no school, but we have done it and we brought this together. And one of the things I personally have noticed in the community and the Indonesia refugee community that I've been living and going to every refugee community and seeing that youth are all doing what they are everyday and routine-based doing, but there is no vision of how this is going to be helping them with their future. And we are aging and aging. We have been starting this journey at a very young age. Now we are considered to be as a young adult. And then where is that? So I was thinking like what initiative can be to empower youth, because there is always the good headlines talking about youth can find their space, but if they have this possibility, they have this empowered soul and skills and many other things that they have to be working on. Then I was thinking, and then coming, just like we are coming together today, I was going to my youth friends, some of them refugees, some of them locals. Hey, what can we do to make this happen? How can we empower ourselves? What can we do more than what we are every day doing? And then we decided to start an initiative that bring all youth together, regardless of, I don't know, citizenship status, or I don't know, age or whatever. But if you're youth of any background, come together. Let's sit together and look for solutions for the problems that our society and our community mainly are facing. And then we did it. After some time, we came up with many solutions, with many initiatives and ideas that this is what we can do to empower ourselves and to have a say when there is a time, an opportunity. And that was the M-Place Youth Initiative that is now 1 year old, that a lot of youth are coming together. And we are with this concept of learning by doing. We are running our own projects with no funding yet received, with no support from any specific big organizations. We had, of course, our mentors and many good people along this with us. I have to appreciate their effort. But then in the bigger size of initiative, RLOs, these things, there was no, because the system is still wrong. Many lessons to be given to that. Hey, we have to trust youth, and this is youth doing this together. And we are more than 65% girl-led initiative, which is a right space for every female to feel themselves empowered and included in our initiative and the community, as well as we are with this philosophy and vision of shared leadership. This is not one person decision making. This is what we are preaching for, yeah? Shared leadership is when people come together and then they have a say, and that say is being respected and being into consideration. And we are all doing this, and the responsibility is given to everybody. And sometimes because youth are not being really trusted and they're not given the chance. So we have to keep proving ourselves to those people who are bringing standards in front of us to our faces. And hey, you have to go with this standard. I cannot do that. I never had the chance to go to a formal university, formal education, formal employment. How can you expect me to have it? So there's no trust. And then in our initiative, we have to be taking this risk, but this risk is very much of our honor to give a responsibility to a youth to empower themselves, to make those skills, and to develop everything within this initiative. I hope I could address your question, Maria. Thank you so much.
No, you did really well. Thank you so much. And thank you for carrying out the labor of love, because in a lot of these initiatives are completely unpaid. You don't get a lot of funding, you don't get a lot of support, and it's simply out of the goodness of your heart and your love for and passion for your community that is driving this whole initiative. So thank you for carrying out that work on behalf of all of us here. So, and I think that wraps up the questions that I had for our panelists. Thank you so much to each one of you for inspiring all of us and for your amazing answers. There was only one question in the chat that I think has already been answered. And so if there are any questions, I'll probably count to 5 if you could put it in the chat. Yeah. So if there are no questions, I have one question for all 4 of you before we have to wrap up. And if I can please ask all four of you to be quite brief because we've already kind of a bit over time. What is your one takeaway? What is something that you want to leave everyone with? Everyone's listening to you. We've got quite a few people here. What is one thing that you want to leave them with? And so I'll pass it on to maybe our lucky last. Ali Riza, I'll pass it on to you, and then maybe you can popcorn it to someone else.
So thank you. What I can say and suggest to all our fellow youths and youth refugees in this summit is do not give up on your hope. We are all in this very bad situation of waiting for others to do something for us or listening to us, and it never happens. So don't give up on your hope and make this a reality in your mind that you can do it by yourself, and empower yourself to the level that you stand in front of this, I don't know, very, very bad system, and then talk what your heart says to you. This is what we all can do in our capacity. At some point of your life, when there is a situation, you can start from small, but then once you see yourself in a very big platform, in a very big position, that you can be voicing for many other youths. I'm not very much fond of the word vulnerable to call youth or to call anybody, any people, but to all those amazing and resilient refugees and refugee youth who are willing to bring a systemic change and are hoping for that.
Do not give up. And that's Ali Riza's message. I hope everyone heard it loud and clear. Yaseman, what do you want everyone to, what do you want to leave everyone with?
Thank you. I was thinking along the same lines, just a message of hope, knowing that life goes ahead. It will pass on. It won't stay stuck forever. You might not be in part of your journey that's desirable, and that's okay, but know that all you have to do in that point is to keep going ahead. It will get better, and just keep believing in yourself and make the best of the opportunities that come along in terms of education. Keep going ahead. It sounds like a cliche, but this too shall pass, and it will get better.
Thank you, Yaseman. Dimdim.
Thank you so much for inviting me. As I said, in Japan, the refugee presence is very minimum. So I was, to just see everyone around the world and that I'm not alone is just so comforting, and it gives me a lot of strength to move on. So the message that I would like to pass on to everyone here is to to always talk about, not always, but come and talk about your difficulties and challenges that you're having. Always share, don't keep it inside, please. And I think mental health, stress, because as a young person, even though we have been saying like, oh, you're too young, you're just refugee, but we actually handle a lot of our parents, a lot of our parents just translating, interpreting things, doing a lot of work for our parents. It's a very young age. We are very capable, but this also built up a lot of stress. So I really hope that NGOs here, or youth, or the teachers, any volunteers, please always keep in mind that mental health and stress that a lot of our refugees, children, youth, or adults are going through. And I hope that we can be mindful of mental health in general, because it's not very addressed. It's always about like educations and resilience and things like that, but we also need to lift each other up. I think that's because I get through this with a lot of people helping me around, just with words, just with in being emotional support. So I think that's all I would like to lift. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think mental health, absolutely. Nazanin, lucky last.
Thank you. Of course, the one big message was to always keep going and not giving up. But I would like to address my message this way to create opportunities for yourself. The reason why I'm saying this because I'm hoping that this can inspire other youth people to always create opportunities for themselves. Me, as someone who was working in a refugee-led organizations voluntarily, after a long time of volunteering there, I've been told to leave the office very directly, or they would kick me out. But, this hasn't stopped me from anything. After that, I was a co-founder of one of the children's organizations. I joined Employees Initiative as a member. I created a lot of opportunities for myself. So my message is, do not listen to people, create the opportunities for yourself. They won't give it to you. Nobody will. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was a perfect, very empowering way to end. That you have the power to create opportunities for yourself, and that's how we should move forward. I have a couple questions in the chat and a hand up, but unfortunately, the question wasn't asked when we were looking for questions, so I'll have to skip that, unfortunately, because of time. And I think that wraps up our panel session. Thank you so much to all our panelists for their amazing, amazing insights. Thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing, and how inspiring your stories are. And thank you for sharing it with us today. And I think if one thing we can take away from today is this was a demonstration of how refugee youth are fully capable of contributing to policies and decision making that impacts our lives. So next time, if you're making a decision about us, maybe the next question you'll have to ask yourself is, should we include youth? Do we have youth on the table? And if not, I guess that's our call to action for you. And with that, thank you so much. I'll pass it back on to Marufa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madiha, very esteemed moderator. Thank you to every distinguished panelists today for sharing their stories and their insights. I wish we had more time so we could hear about your stories. We're really inspiring stories the whole day, but sadly we do not have that much of time. So yes, these panelists have been at the forefront of community activism and advocacy. So we really appreciate that, and we want every single youth refugee to do the same. So thank you, everyone. And now I'm seeing so many questions raised in the chat box. Thank you, everyone, for the questions and for the insights you have. I want you all to keep these questions and insights to you for just
do we have a connection issue with Marufa, I guess? Again, yes. Okay, let me just go on with, because time is very short. We now are at this. So what Marufa was saying, we have questions, but please keep them, and you raise your hand, keep them for the breakout rooms. That is the place where you are going to be speaking, discussing, and focusing on your questions as well. Without further ado, we are going to give the mic to Khairullah, and if you are ready, you can unmute, and we are listening to your beautiful poem that you have prepared.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Khairullah, a Rohingya refugee and educational director of Rohingya Youth Initiative, a campus refugee-led organizations, and I'm also a refugee advocate. I have been raising voices for my community since my arrival in Bangladesh, which is Bangladesh refugee camp, which is known as the world's largest refugee camps. Today, I would like to recite a poem. The title of the poem is Peace Not For Me. Peace not for me. Every moment on social media, I read about peace and justice, seeing how people are fortunate. I censure myself for being different. They can walk on their own art under freedom sky by their peace builders. Nobel are being awarded every year. For me, peace, justice are untouchable, unseen, unheard, and untouched. Thus, these are my actual question. What are peace and justice? Who created these two words? What kind of people should feel? Does it does it need to combat religion just to feel peace and justice? Or is it enough to be a human? I am devastated to differentiate. For me, the condition is the same, pivotal, like the eligible for the whole world. Whenever, wherever I go to feel and get it, hope many people are seeking as I do, as hunger in other countries. Let us feel and get it once. Every moment on social media, I did about achievement, that how some become degree holders, doctors, engineers, while others are welcoming them by congratulations. What a mess, what is it to feel? For me, the condition is the neglectful, as an inhuman in reality for the whole world. My figure look like human being, lack of rudimentary rights, from which everyone gain everything. How and where should I go to feel it once? Hope many people are dreaming as I do to be the owner of it in other society. Let it for us once to come true our dream. Thank you so much for hearing my poems. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you very much, Khairullah, a very moving poem. Next, we are going to have our breakout rooms. So everyone, please have your questions ready and your insights that you already had in chat box, so you can discuss in the breakout rooms. So first breakout room is education and skills development. So you can go ahead and pick the breakout room, leadership, advocacy, and refugee youth empowerment for the second room. Third room is mental health and well-being, access to health. And fourth room is refugee pathways, alternative ways for resettlement, integration, and inclusion. So go ahead and join whichever the breakout room your questions is most directly related. And we have promoting equity, inclusion, cultural exchange, also combating discrimination, gender issues, and stereotypes. So Danish, can you please help and send and have us give us the options to choose the breakout rooms?
Yeah, thank you, Marufa. My question, the time is 1 hour and 22 minutes past. How about the time should be 30 minutes or shorter?
20 minutes will be fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And if you allow me, I should share my screen for a very brief instruction.
Of course, go ahead. Ali, could you allow?
Yeah,
Can I
Ronan,
start
if you
sharing?
can stop sharing, yes, please.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, can you see my screen, Ali?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, when I open breakout rooms, so this is how you see on your screen. If you're using laptops or desktop, it might be the same. You can see, you might not see pop-up, but however, you can see breakout rooms. When you click there, then you can see all the options in the above, which breakout rooms you would like to join. This is for laptop users, and for mobile users, it might be different. So this is I'm using Samsung, but for the other brands, it could be the same. But however, that pop-up could be right side, left side, or in the bottom. Okay, just click on this, then you can easily join to breakout room. Right.
Thank you, Danish. So everyone, please see if you can access the breakout room that you wish to share your concerns and your questions. And please let us know if you have trouble, then you will be guided. So we have people coming, or the 16 people haven't joined yet. You can join the breakout rooms, but if you have trouble, please do let us know, so Danish will guide you through.
Yes, I did have a problem with the connection. Can you please help me?
Yes,
Okay.
Leon, which breakout rooms you would like to join? Just tell me.
I think it was about the equity and the inclusion. I think it was room 6.
Room 6, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Equity and inclusion. That's 5, Danish, in my screen.
And I also have similar problems, so can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Please do tell us which breakout room would you like to join?
Room 2, maybe empowerment.
Empowerment. Okay,
Yeah.
Danish, could you please help Joan to join the empowerment breakout room, please?
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
And
How about any other person?
Khairullah, you want to join any breakout room? Which of the breakout room would you like to?
Do we have everyone back?
I think so. But let me check one more time. Yes, everyone is back. Hello again, and welcome back, everyone. Each facilitator will have 1 minute to report on the main points that were discussed in the breakout room. So we starting from breakout room 1. So facilitator Farhan, would you like to go ahead and summarize the points in there, or any other person from the breakout room will do?
We didn't get chance to hand over the facilitation to anyone, so let me please allow myself to work on it. So it's a very intense group, I have to say. And there were so many questions, there were so many queries. I wish we could have some more time, but there were some very important and crucial thing that came up. For an example, if we look into what was working well in this area, in some of the setups, like in Pakistan, there is some organizations working on basic education, offering scholarships and everything. Similarly, it has also been advised for the future strategy as well to look for collaboration with the UNHCR, that whoever receives the UN cards, they also are able to access into the scholarship programs and also go for further studies as well. That in some countries like Bangladesh, it's not happening at all, and it's very limited access to education. And in Bangladesh, one of the refugee youth mentioned that they are running a youth based program, youth community engagement program, where they are doing this education program, but that's in a very certain and limited level. And also what is like initiated or practiced well, another thing is that there are many organizations, many institutions, education institutions, where students are coming in with different skills in mathematics, in science or geography, and they are coming and volunteering themselves to educate the students over there. Whereas if we look into the challenge and barriers, is besides having accessibility into the education, there is a shortage of funding to run any sorts of educational program. There is lack of continuations, planning and programs, like if there is someone who is studying in the basic level, how to continue it further. And also the girls, they are having girls, particularly in the refugee community, they are having a less accessibility into the education system. And for the future, as I mentioned, UN card, and we couldn't manage more to bring in. So that's it. Thank you so much. And if I miss anything,
awesome.
Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's okay. Thank you, Farhan, for the awesome insight. It's really important to mention the education. And Feroz Al-Haq raised his hand and he has a question, and I'm sorry that we cannot take questions, but I will ask and make sure that you could share your insights and questions somewhere after this event. So please keep your questions right down, and so you can share that with us. So next we have Hayat from breakout room 2. So please go ahead and share your insight. If there is anyone else who wants to go ahead from the breakout room, that's welcome.
Thanks, Marufa. Look, facilitating this session was inspiring and humbling. But I should say from the beginning that we didn't get to go through all the questions. So I'm afraid that we don't have much to report back, but I'm going to report back whatever we discussed. In terms of the what is working well and also successful initiatives to be built upon, there was a great discussion on advocacy, on access to education, and we heard about from people in the region the challenges and hindrances that they're facing in access to education. Initiatives that can be built upon was, of course, access to more education, also more scholarships for refugee youth through complementary pathways, which is, of course, it is going to give them a chance to a better life, but also access to education. And the other emphasis that was put on was refugee youth has been neglected throughout for a long time, and they have been excluded in decision making. So there was also a stress on including them more in decision making processes. Thank you.
That's so true, and I can tell every refugees, and especially from my experience, what I see in the society, everyone is going through that at the moment also. So thank you for your insights, Hayat. I hope this will be passed to and reported. So hopefully this is going to be heard. And next we have room 3, Ronan. Please go ahead and have please share the main points. But if there is someone else to share, that's also welcome.
Hello, everyone. Our discussion was about mental health, well-being, and access to health and healthcare for refugee youth. And there are 2 main themes that came up from the discussion. One is that often there is no access to services and no facilities for refugee youth. And then even in the situations where there may be some access and services provided by governments, it's often not accommodating. It doesn't understand the backgrounds, the cultural contexts, the countries that people are coming from. And so it doesn't really apply and doesn't suit the mental health needs of refugees and refugee youth. And then an important thing that I found very valuable from the discussion was the importance of connecting with the older generation and being able to build connections to parents and older people to learn from their guidance and support refugee youth. So it's very valuable.
Awesome. Thank you for the great summarizing the points. Thank you, Ronan. And next we move to room 5 from Flooring. Or May from room 6.
Should I go first?
Yes. Flooring can go first. Yeah, of course.
So we discussed mostly about detention in Asia Pacific and especially in Australia. So it was more because there is a whole part of detention of people who are denied seeking asylum. So we didn't touch upon that, but we did talk about people who are detained during the asylum process on islands, so outside of Australia's mainland. And since there is no like actual land border in Australia, it's just easier in a way for like the government to say, to justify that they're detaining asylum seekers and sometimes refugees outside of the mainland. But the conditions there are quite, from what I've understood, are like quite difficult and even like almost like hell. And maybe, I mean, the first step would always be to raise awareness, like keep raising awareness and do more in advocating on that. But also it seems to be a really costly process to keep people detained on islands. So maybe we could, I mean, not us, but like we could like sensitize the government to stop detaining people on islands, allow them to be on the mainland during the asylum process, and then reroute the money they saved in like to work on other issues in Australia, like homelessness or things like that. Basically.
Thank you, Florine, for sharing the insights from group 5, breakout room 5. So breakout room 6, we have May. Please do share your points.
So breakout room 6 is about the discussions of promoting equity, inclusion, and cultural change. So we have 4 breakout room members, and we discussed that what are the key challenges and what are the best practices regarding to addressing the needs of the refugee young people. So the members discussed that the most significant things is that, so even though there are some infrastructures and some program for the refugee resettlement and services, but there are still the trend has been changed. The narrative has been changed, and people think about that refugees are the issues for the host country, and refugees are the threat for the host country, and these lead to the hate towards the refugee peoples. So that is the trend that we are now facing and experiencing. The refugees are now facing and experiencing. And also, so when we talk about the solutions or when we address the refugee issues, we need to think about the specific purpose for the specific refugees in the specific locations. There is no solution that fit for all purposes for all refugees. We might need to focus on the refugee in the specific area and specific group. So that are the key challenges that we are now facing. So that in terms of the recommendations, so the group member discussed that, so we need to do more research. We need to advocate to do more research on the refugees, refugee young people, to pass the policy and implementation mechanism for the refugee people, including children and young people. So in order to raise the awareness of the public, like Florine mentioned that, so people and government need to be sensitized about the refugee issues. So they need to educate the public and to set up the community outreach program to cooperate with the NGO. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kim, for the very wonderful insights and points. They are all concerning. And so now, last but not least, Yongo from breakout room 7, please.
So our room 7 topic was about combating discrimination, gender issues, and stereotypes. We had few participants. However, we recognize altogether that the refugee youth face more discrimination and stereotypes, particularly when it's the case of girls and women. They face like multiple layers of discrimination and stereotypes, gender-based stereotypes and maybe cultural stereotypes, and then the challenge is the refugee youth, particularly women and girls, are facing is that although there are many international agencies, including UNHCR and then NGO organizations, they promote gender equality, and then they promote a lot of educational opportunities and then trainings about gender-based violences, but there's a still gap between this promotion of this problem, or the promotion to address this problem, and then the real protection services when the incident, the violence takes place. So maybe the reputation of the organization or the project itself are deemed more important than the real protection given to the survivors of the violence based on gender. And then also, and then secondly, the community, the older generation in the community also become, the arrow that attacks the victim of this kind of violence, and then shaming in the community, and then also in cyberbullying, in the manner of cyberbullying, but the UNHCR or NGOs, they were not capable to provide safety for the victim and then the family. So and then it was mentioned that when the young generations who cannot really who do not need to deal with the NGOs, they need to attend the public schools, and they need to just have their own lives. They cannot speak they are maybe even detached from their own community. They are detached from the NGOs. They have their own life, maybe like, for example, in South Korea. And when something happens like this, they don't have access to even NGOs, and they don't have access to just normal other NGOs that deals with all youth problems in the national system. So the refugee youth are left out in terms of this problem, and we couldn't really talk about.
Thank you, Yonga.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, this was the
yes. Thank you, Yonga.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing up these points. All these discussions and the main points that brought up will be included in the report of this summit and hopefully to be heard. Thank you, everyone. And we are moving to have a closing remarks by Rana Ebrahimi herself. Rana, please.
Thank you so much, everyone. Very important conversations. And well, I was facilitating group 4, and very quickly, it was really important to hear the comments, very useful comments on the challenges of the complementary pathways and the new methods that they are there, and lack of information, the challenges like certification and being offshore. We recorded everything, and I guess that's my last point to share. We heard a wonderful conversation from the panel today, and this is the type of the conversation we are going to continue that you had in these breakout rooms. Just to closing today, thank you so much for staying, the people who stayed until the last minute, and also to share with you that this working group is prioritizing to keep these topics as the main topics that we are going to work on this year. So if you are not an APRRN member, become an APRRN member and join us in this conversation, in this youth working group. Also, we are still having a chance to bring you together and hear about these challenges and maybe solutions, because you are in these countries. You can share the first-hand information, and you can share solutions that we can pull together as a working group and put it as a pledge or a solution to the governments that we are working with. And also, we have different ways of communication with you. You can write to us. You have Ali Reza's email address. You know our name. You can search about us. You can find us on social media. You can find me and send messages and your thoughts to us. You can participate in the conversation in the future. And again, these are the main topics that we are going to talk about this year, and make sure that we are pulling together this information and we are sharing it with the outer world to make sure that your voice is heard. I'm glad that we could provide this first platform for you. And I know there is a lot of frustration among the young people, because the level that is needed to bring in and include young people's voice is not there, and we are doing our best to make sure that it happens. And I hope that you keep your hopes high, because you're not the future, you are the now. You are going to do the big change, and I believe all of you who participated today are the agents of the change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rana. Thank you for providing the platform for youth to talk and to speak up. Very moving words and inspiring words by Rana. So next we have the closing session. Everyone, thank you for being with us today, and thanks for everyone who stayed until this moment. So let's have a photo session at the end. Danish will help us with that. Let's record our moment for a minute.
Thank you. And everyone, please turn on your camera.
Yes, if you could help and turn on your cameras, that would be awesome. So we could be awesome.
Should we smile, Danish? Is it a celebration?
Yeah. And you can
Smile is
smile.
welcome.
Okay. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Everyone, please thumbs up and show your smiling face. Thank you. Okay. One more time. Okay, thank you so much. I have done. Okay.
Thank you everyone for joining us and for being with us until here. Please keep in touch and reach out and share your insights and questions. And as always, APRRN welcome insights and thoughts from the youth refugees as well as non-youth refugees.
Thank you all.
So
have a good day.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone.
Good. Let me stop recording.